Joel Klatt put out his top 10 quarterbacks heading into the 2025 season. I have some major problems with this list. First off, he starts with Carson Beck at number 10. That's fine if you want to put Carson Beck in there. I think Beck's a talented guy. I think that his season last year didn't necessarily show that. Georgia's receiving core was actually really bad. I think they wound up having like the most drops of any Power 4 receiving core in the country. So they didn't help him out any, but Beck had way too many turnovers. I mean, you look at Beck's raw numbers, 3,400 yards, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 7.8 yards per attempt. I mean, he was pretty average a season ago. Now, Klatt says, okay, well, he didn't have a lot of help on the outside at Georgia, so I think Miami will help him a little bit. Who does Miami have? You lost Xavier Restrepo. You lost Elijah Arroyo. I mean, you'll have a decent running game. You're in an ACC, which is a little bit easier of a conference than the SEC, but he's also coming off of that UCL injury that he missed a little bit of the offseason because of. He seems fully healthy now, but there's still a lot of question marks around Carson Beck, but I'm okay with having him at 10. Like, it's the bottom of the list. I'm good with it. At number 9, he has Luke Altmaier. I actually like this choice. Altmaier wasn't a flashy guy. He didn't put up the crazy numbers, but he was super efficient, 22 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. He returns to an Illinois squad that's actually pretty talented overall. You saw him put some teams on upset alert last year. I think we're looking at more of the same this year. Lenore Sellers, South Carolina, number 8. DJ Lagway, Florida, number 7. He has Garrett Nussmeier, our guy right here in Baton Rouge, at number 6. Here's his write-up on Nuss. He's not the most athletic guy out there, but he threw for over 4,000 yards. He's an absolute gunslinger. He's going to put up numbers, and I think LSU will be a really good team this season. He said, but Nussmeier needs to cut down on the turnovers. He had 15 last season, and he's not the mobile guy that can hurt you with his legs, so he has to minimize the turnovers. I am okay with that. Everybody knows that Garrett Nussmeier turned the ball over too much this past season. He has him at 6 overall, and you can look at it and say, okay, well, he's got him at 6. Some people have him at 3, wherever you want to rank him. Like, a lot of times you're splitting hairs with these quarterbacks if you're doing it. I don't necessarily have an issue with Garrett Nussmeier being 6 on this list. I have an issue with who he put ahead of Garrett Nussmeier because I can't justify it. At number 5, it's Drew Aller of Penn State. What am I not seeing with Drew Aller that others are? If you know what it is, please let me know. He struggles in big games. There was a college football playoff game where he didn't complete a pass to a wide receiver. Klatt mentions that in his write-up, but he says, that's a lot on the wide receivers. Okay, that's fine. You can blame the wide receivers. Have they gotten significantly better this year? I mean, maybe a little bit, but, they're not exactly a stud wide receiver core top to bottom. How's it going to be any different? Singleton and Allen at running back are studs, but again, your weapons on the outside are minimal. Drew Aller gets the benefit of the doubt because he was a 5-star coming out of high school, and he's 6'5". That's what it is. Because Klatt says, okay, he may not be where we want him to be, but he's improved year in and year out as a starter in college football. But that's not true. You go look at his numbers. In 2023, he completed almost 60% of his passes. This past season, it was over 66%. Okay, so that is better. He also threw for more yards this year. But he had 1 less touchdown pass and 6 more interceptions than he had in 2023, and he's still struggling in big games. So all this talk about, he's not where we want him to be, but he showed promise, he showed improvement, that's not true. Drew Aller is essentially the same quarterback he was the day he got on campus. He has 53 touchdown passes over 3 years, which is really good, but 4 touchdown passes as a freshman in 2022. He didn't play a ton. A 25-2 touchdown interception ratio in 2023. 24-8 last season. He backtracked a year ago. He goes from 202 yards a game 2 years ago to 207. That's not a huge improvement. And find me these incredible weapons that Penn State added top to bottom to say, they're going to be one of the best receiving cores in college football. Drew Aller, no doubt, bona fide top 5 quarterback. Drew Aller wasn't a 5-star coming out of high school. He would not continue to get the benefit of the doubt. Now, at number 4 on this list, it's Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. I'm okay with this. Look, he's a guy that came on late in the season. He made big plays for the Sun Devils. Now, he gets Jordan Tyson back, who was his top receiver a year ago. But what will he do without Cam Scatterbu to lean on? Teams are now going to be keying in on Sam Leavitt, not Cam Scatterbu. That's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him. At number 3, it's John Mateer. I hate having John Mateer this high. He was great at Washington State last year, but it's his first year at Oklahoma and his first year in the SEC. He's a talented guy. Look, if you want to put him at 7, you want to put him at 8, I'm good with that based on talent alone. You can't have him in your top 3 after not playing in the SEC at all. At number 2, it's Arch Manning at Texas. And look, I like Arch Manning. I think he could be good, but once again, the national media is overhyping a dude. They're putting unrealistic expectations on a player that has not even been a full-time starter in college football. He is entering his first season as the full-time starter in Austin, Texas. You cannot have this guy at number 2. He's going to have weapons on the outside. He's going to have a good running game. He's going to have a good offensive line because Texas has all these things. But it's going to be up to Arch Manning to put all that together. Is he talented enough? Maybe. Hell, I don't know. I think he's got potential, but we're going to have to see it. Everyone is ranking Arch Manning, and this is unfair to say because I think he actually could be a good quarterback. But it's becoming, you're ranking this guy as high as you are because of his name and not what he's done on the field. And that's unfortunate because I think Arch has a good shot at being a good quarterback, and it's going to make people dislike it. It is. A lot of people already dislike Texas. Now you have a guy with the Manning name who's getting a little bit overhyped going into the season. At number 1 on this list, Joel Klatt has Cade Klubnik at quarterback at Clemson. I'm okay with this, which is why I'm concerned about the Clemson game in week 1. He was excellent a year ago, and everything you say about Garrett Nussmeier, he threw for a lot of yards, he had a lot of touchdowns, he had too many turnovers. Cade Klubnik didn't. He has his top 3 receivers back from a year ago. He's going to have a good offensive line. A lot of people are going to poke holes in this Clemson offense and say, okay, well, Cade Klubnik has no run game to fall back on. True, but he didn't have much of a run game a year ago anyways. I mean, they were bottom half of the ACC in rushing offense to begin with. So how much are they actually losing there? And Klubnik, 3rd year as a starter out there in Clemson, I expect big things from him. So I'm actually okay with having Cade Klubnik number 1. But going back to Garrett Nussmeier, he's at 6, and you look at Joel Klatt's criticism of him. He said he needs to limit the turnovers. I endorse that 100%. I agree. But Nussmeier looked like a different quarterback once Chris Hilton was fully healthy. If you remember all season long, everyone said, this offense is limited in what they can do in the passing game because you don't have a true dual threat because Chris Hilton could never get fully healthy. Those last 3 games of the year, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Baylor in the bowl game when Chris Hilton was fully healthy, Garrett Nussmeier was awesome. 72% completion, 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception in the last 3 games. You also have a lot of deep threats this season. It was basically Hilton and nobody else. Aaron Anderson came on as a deep threat. Of course, you have Hilton. You have Xavion Thomas, who's a year older in this offense. Darian Brown comes in. Jelani Watkins, a little bit of an undersized guy, but we see what he's doing in track and field. Can that translate to the football field? You almost have an embarrassment of riches at that deep threat spot when you had nobody a year ago. I expect Nussmeier to take that jump. So Klatt can say, okay, well, I need to see this from Nussmeier. We've kind of seen it. Again, in the last 3 games when Hilton was fully healthy, it unlocked everything in that offense. You know who we haven't seen it from? Arch Manning. We haven't seen it from John Mateer. We haven't seen it from Drew Aller. So again, if you want to rank Garrett Nussmeier as your 6th best quarterback in college football, I'm good with it. Aller, Manning, John Mateer have no business being in front of Garrett Nussmeier because there are way more question marks around all those guys than there are against the guy here in purple and gold.